He meets his great-aunt. Excuse me, the magnificent Lady Aurelia, the White Wolf, and she is not what you'd expect. She's not a kindly old granny. She's a blue-haired, mana-rejuvenated powerhouse who looks like she's in her late 20s and could bench press a horse. Flinch, he doesn't shut his eyes, he walks. Step by gruesome step, he ascends that staircase, acknowledging each fallen comrade with a whispered apology. He is not running from his past, he is confronting it. He steps right over the spot where he died and does what he never could in his first life. He enters the throne room. And there it is. Not a glittering new weapon, but a ghost from his past. Embedded in the throne is Lewin, his cursed sword, the very extension of his damned existence, the instrument of his slavery. The voice of the pledge stone tells him to infuse it with his azure mana, to reclaim it, to make it his own again. And he hesitates. Of course he does. To touch that sword is to touch the misery of the life he so desperately wants to leave behind. The fear is palpable. But then he gets it. He understands. This entire ceremony isn't about power. It's about conquering your fears. His grandfather's final words weren't just a warning. They were the key. And with a hollow laugh at the poetic justice of it all, he does it. He places his hand on the hilt of his past and pours his new, pure, free mana into it. The azure light doesn't just fill the sword, it consumes the entire world. He didn't just find a weapon, my darlings. He accepted his past. He reconciled the slave with the noble. He took the symbol of his curse and is in the process of transforming it into a symbol of his liberation. The psychological depth, the narrative perfection. I am in awe. What will this reborn sword become? What will the family make of a weapon that should not exist? The anticipation is agonizing. But what did he bring back from his trip down memory lane? Oh, just a little something called guillotine. The execution sword, just the legendary, mythically forgotten, demon-beheading blade of the first ancestor that is so terrifying. It was literally erased from history. No big deal. And the voice guiding him, just your friendly neighborhood blue dragon from the North Sea. Apparently the Leston family has a guardian dragon on retainer, and it is very invested in our little troublemaker's future. The lore, the world building, it's all coming together. But the best part? The reactions. Grandpa Theron shooketh. He recognizes the sword instantly, and his face goes more serious than a tax audit. He knows this isn't just a cool new toy, it's a destiny. A promise to eradicate demons that his first ancestor failed to keep. The weight of that legacy just landed squarely on Kieran's 10-year-old shoulders. And the uncles. Oh, the uncles are sweating. Uncle Dale's, the almost 8-star powerhouse, feels a chill of fear just looking at the sword. Uncle Raphael is speechless with rage and confusion. The family dynamics have officially been nuked from orbit. The carefully built succession war between the first and second son is now a 3-way battle with a dark horse candidate who holds a sword that stares into your soul. But through it all, our boy is hungry. Father, I'm hungry, he says. After shattering an ancient artifact and becoming the chosen one of a mythical dragon, his primary concern is getting a stake. The absolute king. The stage is set for an epic power struggle. The elders are whispering, the uncles are scheming, and Theron is watching it all with a mix of pride and dread. Kieran has the sword, the destiny, and the dragon's favor. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Everything could go wrong, and it's going to be glorious to watch. He meets his great-aunt. Excuse me, the magnificent Lady Aurelia, the White Wolf, and she is not what you'd expect. She's not a kindly old granny. She's a blue-haired, mana-rejuvenated powerhouse who looks like she's in her late 20s and could bench press a horse. She doesn't like being called great-aunt because, darling, who would? She's fabulous. And who else is in detention? I mean, class? Why, it's his traumatized cousin, Lucian, the boy who learned the hard way not to insult Kieran's father. He's trying so hard to be brave, but one look from our little Chaos Lord and he practically vibrates with fear. The tension is delicious. Lady Aurelia begins the lesson. She explains the ocean dominance arts, building seas of mana within yourself, with Grandpa Theron being the only one in the Empire to have merged them all into one transcendent ocean. It's a fascinating system. Kieran is locked in, focused, determined to reach that pinnacle he could never touch in his past life. She tells them to close their eyes, to gently draw up their azure mana, to guide it through their pathways. She's about to warn them that it's difficult for beginners, that it takes time and patience. When Kieran absolutely ignores the instructions and goes full throttle, whoosh! An explosion of azure mana erupts from him like a tidal wave. The training hall is suddenly filled with a raging ocean of power. Lady Aurelia is cut off mid-sentence, her eyes wide with shock. Lucienne is probably blown against the back wall. He didn't just draw up his mana, he unleashed the entire sea. All because he's been secretly practicing for years with a mana stone. This isn't a beginner's first step. This is a graduate-level thesis presentation. The preparation, the sheer, unmitigated gall. The look on Aurelia's face says it all. She's not seeing a student, she's witnessing a natural disaster in a child's body. This is the vast, uncharted sea Theron warned her about, and it's already making landfall. What will she do? How will she possibly teach someone who starts at the finish line? And poor Lucien. Will he ever recover from the psychological damage? And his instructor, none other than the legendary commander of the Azure Wolves, Zerath Winterguard, an 8-star knight, a man whose mere presence screams, "I could defeat an army before breakfast." And how does our boy react? With awe-inspired respect, nervous trembling? Please. He sizes him up like he's checking out the competition. The audacity. I adore it. But Commander Zerath lays down the law immediately. No special treatment, no young master titles until he's earned it. And most importantly, gasp, he's taking away his sword. The glorious, terrifying guillotine is being benched. He's being given a wooden practice sword, the indignity. But does Kieran throw a fit? Does he pout? Of course not. He shrugs it off like it's nothing. He's more comfortable without the fancy title anyway. The sheer, unbothered king energy is off the charts. And then he walks into the training ground. And oh, the drama of it all. Every single knight stops what they're doing to stare. The air is thick with tension, anticipation, jealousy, curiosity. It's a whole emotional symphony directed at our 10-year-old protagonist. This is his initiation, his trial by silent judgment. But Kieran? He feels reassured. He looks at these fierce warriors, the very same ones who stormed the palace and ended his past life. And instead of fear, he feels a profound sense of camaraderie. The enemies of his past are the protectors of his future. The poetic irony is so thick you could swim in it. He doesn't cower. He strides forward with a confident smile, ready to earn his place among them. The wolves are watching, and the pup is ready to play. That's right. The montage is over. 3 years have passed in the blink of a beautifully dramatic eye. And what a 3 years it's been. Our boy Kieran has been busy. He's not just swinging a sword, he's been utterly devouring his training. Under the fierce and fabulous eye of the White Wolf, Lady Aurelia, his control over his monstrous azure mana has gone from a raging tsunami to a slightly less raging tsunami that he can actually steer progress. And under the stern gaze of Commander Zerath, his swordsmanship has sharpened to a lethal point. He's been using those weighted artifacts like they're going out of style, building a body that would make a veteran knight weep with envy. The dedication, the sheer will. But has all this hard work made him humble? Oh, please, this is Kieran we're talking about. He's more insufferable than ever, and we love him for it. His poor cousin Lucien is still his primary victim. The dynamic is perfect. Kieran, the brilliant, smirking menace, and Lucien, the perpetually flustered straight man who has somehow become his reluctant, and let's be honest, only friend. They bicker, they train, and Lucien lives in a constant state of awe and terror. It's comedy gold. But it hasn't all been smooth sailing. The uncles, Dales, and Raphael are still scheming in the shadows, watching Kieran's meteoric rise with pure, unadulterated jealousy. The tension in the castle is thicker than the plot of a bad romance novel. And the biggest twist of all, Grandpa Theron, is sick. That's right. The legendary hero, the transcendent powerhouse, is hiding a weakening condition. The pillars of the world are shaking, my darlings, and only a select few know the truth. Why does this matter? Because the time for the family's annual tournament is nearing. A tournament where the young wolves of the Leston family prove their strength and valor. It's the perfect stage for our boy to officially declare his dominance and shatter every expectation. The stakes? Higher than ever. With Theron's health a secret, the succession war is about to boil over. Kieran's performance won't just be for glory. It could determine the very future of the ducal family. He's no longer just a troublemaker. He's a political earthquake waiting to happen. He's been sharpening his claws for 3 years, and now it's time to see what this wolf can really do. The stage is set. The players are in position. The drama is poised to reach a fever pitch. The scene? A letter home. And what does it contain? Not mere updates on his stellar progress. Oh no, it's a masterclass in manipulation. He casually drops that he's reached a 4-star mastery, a feat that would take decades for normal people. He's rewriting history. And then, with the grace of a diving hawk, he swoops in to ask his poor, sweet father Ronan for more allowance. The financial audacity. He is funding his chaos empire. And the nicknames. The knights don't call him young master. They call him the Mad Puppy, a direct descendant of the legendary Mad Dog herself, his glorious Aunt Aurelia. It's not an insult. It's a badge of honor he wears with pride. He's not just accepted. He's feared. The uncles are shaking in their boots, too terrified to make a move against the little wolf who bites back. But the true masterpiece of this chapter, the breakfast scene. He sits there, breaking bread, with his formidable Aunt Aurelia, when his nemesis, Aunt Camilla, the mother of his traumatized cousin, Lucienne, dares to approach. She's seething with 3 years of pent-up rage, forced to smile through gritted teeth. And how does our magnificent protagonist handle her? With the most devastating weapon in his arsenal, polite, casual, absolutely devastating truth. She offers him a history lesson with a tutor, and he dismisses it because he'd already finished the entire curriculum with the Empire's top historian when he was 7. The look on her face, the sheer, silent fury. He doesn't need to raise his voice. His accomplishments are a slap in the face all on their own. But wait! There's more! A shadow looms on the horizon. Papa Ronan has discovered a dangerous drug coken being smuggled onto their lands. And worse, monsters and fiends, remnants of the old emperor's reign, are stirring in the west. The plot thickens. Danger approaches. The stage is set for our mad puppy to sink his teeth into something far bigger than family squabbles. Intrigue, smuggling, ancient evils returning, the drama is reaching a fever pitch. Let's check in on the family, shall we? First, poor Lucien is stuck between a rock and a hard place, specifically between his seething mother, Camilla, and his terrifyingly brilliant cousin. Camilla is desperately trying to fuel a rivalry that simply does not exist. She wants Lucien to see Kieran as competition, but the poor boy knows better. He's seen the sun, and he knows he's just a firefly. The resignation, the drama. But while the family squabbles, our main attraction is on the training grounds, putting a fully grown knight through the ringer. That's right, Kieran is sparring with Hans, a squad leader of the Azure Wolves, and he's winning with a wooden sword. He's so strong he's breaking training swords on the man's armor. The power, the sheer, unadulterated gall. And his trash talk is absolutely impeccable. Your muscles are like balloons, he says. The disrespect, I am living for it. But beneath the teasing, there's a real bond here. Hans is one of the few who can keep up with Kieran's chaotic energy, and he confirms what we all know. Our boy is ready for real missions. He's reached 4-star mastery. He's a powerhouse waiting to be unleashed. But of course, Kieran can't just wait for an assignment to be given to him. Oh no, he has to go and find trouble himself. And trouble arrives in the form of a worried-looking noble from the neighboring Belrus barony, a place plagued by bandits, and, as we know from Papa Ronan's investigation, a possible drug smuggling operation. So what does our magnificent chaos magnet do? He decides to personally welcome the visiting noble. He, a 13-year-old, is going to insert himself into a diplomatic situation because the adults are busy. His reasoning. There are certain rules of etiquette among nobles. The audacity, the hypocrisy. He who regularly terrorizes his cousins and breaks swords on knights is suddenly an expert in etiquette. I am cackling. Hans can only sigh in despair, already drafting the apology report to Commander Zerath in his head. He knows that wherever Kieran goes, beautiful, beautiful trouble follows. What will Kieran discover? Will he stumble into the drug plot? Will he take on the bandits single-handedly? The stage is set for our mad puppy to sink his teeth into a real mission. That's right! He's cornered the poor distressed Baron Caspian of Belrus and is grilling him about bandits and drug smuggling like a tiny blonde detective. And he's so compelling, the Baron just spills everything. The power this boy holds is absolutely terrifying. But the best part, the moment of sheer panic when Commander Valerius walks in, the look on his face, he's not even surprised anymore, it's just pure, resigned exhaustion. Please stop picking up bad habits from Lady Seraphina, he says, the long-suffering sigh of a man who has long since accepted his fate. I am cackling. Of course, Kieran immediately volunteers for the mission to crush the bandits. And of course, Valerius says no, it's too dangerous. He'd rather send him to fight monsters. But our boy? He doesn't take no for an answer. He whips out his secret weapon, emotional manipulation. He suggests making it a memorable outing. with his glorious great-aunt, Lady Seraphina, and she falls for it, hook, line, and sinker. She's so touched he wants to make memories with her that she agrees to chaperone a bandit hunting trip. The sheer tactical brilliance! He's playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And he doesn't stop there. He drags his poor, traumatized cousin Lucien along for the ride. Lucienne is complaining, trying to back out, but Lady Seraphina isn't having it. She steamrolls over his stammering with talk of azure wolf spirit and vile people until he just gives up and accepts his fate. The poor boy is being voluntold for a life-changing field trip. The stage is set, my darlings. A legendary warrior, a prodigy menace, and his reluctant sidekick are about to ride into a barony crawling with trained bandits. This isn't a simple mission, it's a bonding experience. What could possibly go wrong? Everything could go wrong, and it's going to be magnifique. But first, let's rewind to that glorious train ride. Our magnificent Lady Seraphina is dispensing life lessons like a vengeful goddess. If you can't kill, you'll be killed, she tells a visibly queasy Lucien. The mentorship, the sheer, unadulterated edge, I am living for it. And then, the moment we've all been waiting for, with 20 minutes left on the clock, she decides she's bored of the conversation. What does she do? She opens the window of a moving train and just leaps out into the wilderness. No warning, no dramatic music, just a casual, I'll be watching. And she's gone. The audacity, the power, the absolutely zero regard for basic transportation safety. I have never been more inspired. And the boys' reactions? Priceless. Lucien is horrified. Kieran is utterly unfazed, already planning to try it himself someday. The dichotomy, the sheer difference in their brain chemistry. Poor Baron Caspian is having a full-blown existential crisis, questioning every life choice that led him to this moment. But the drama doesn't stop there. They arrive in Belrus Barony, and oh, the atmosphere. It's bleak, it's depressing, the air smells of despair and neglected garbage. The people are shuffling husks of their former selves. It's a far cry from the gleaming halls of Azure Ocean Castle, and even Lucien has a moment of clarity, realizing how privileged his life has been. Character development in the middle of a bandit hunt. And through it all, Kieran remains focused. His sword guillotine is vibrating with bloodlust. It knows a fight is coming. It's hungry. He brushes off the Baron's apologies and pleasantries and demands to see the injured lord immediately. No time for rest, no time for tea. There are bandits to crush and a mission to complete. The stage is set for a glorious reckoning. The mad puppy is on the hunt, and he's brought his reluctant cousin along for the ride. What will they find in the castle? Traitors? Lies? A bedridden lord with a tale of woe? Our scene opens in the sick room of the noble, wounded Baron Belrus. He's kind, he's worried, he's everything a good lord should be, and he's trying to protect our little wolves from a dangerous mission. How sweet, how utterly dull. But our Kieran will have none of it. He doesn't just refuse the coddling, he flexes on the poor man. I've reached 4-star, he says, casually, as if he's commenting on the weather. The Baron is shooketh. The prodigy has arrived, and he is not here to be swaddled. But the true masterstroke, his reason for charging headfirst into danger, one of my dreams is to live a long life. The irony, the audacity. He says it with a straight face while planning to walk into a bandit den. I am cackling. Cut to the mountain hike with their guide, the slimy, traitorous Sven. And oh, does Kieran see right through him. He plays the part of the clueless, trusting noble child to perfection. He even hands over his legendary sword to the man. The absolute confidence, the unshakable belief that he is always the most dangerous person in any room. And of course, the trap is sprung. The bandits reveal themselves. Their leader is cold, efficient, and immediately kills the greedy Sven. A brutal display meant to intimidate our young heroes. But does it work? On Lucien? Perhaps, but on Kieran? Oh, please. He just smiles and asks for his sword back. And when the youngest bandit foolishly draws it, the true terror is unleashed. Guillotine is revealed, and its mere presence freezes these hardened men solid with primal fear. The atmosphere shifts from a bandit ambush to a horror movie, and Kieran is the villain. And then, the piece de resistance! With a motion so swift it's almost casual, Kieran reclaims his blade and delivers Guillotine's first kill. Congratulations, you're Guillotine's first customer. He says it with a smile. The chill, the theatrics, it's perfection. The message is clear. The prey they thought they were hunting was the apex predator all along. The game is over before